Welcome to Channel Canada is hitting back in Trump's trade war, and they're exposing something he doesn't want you to see. While Trump rants about America being ripped off, Canada is quietly dismantling one of the world's most restrictive agricultural systems, one that has long hurt Canadians more than it ever hurt Americans. But instead of recognizing an opportunity, Trump is doubling down on a tariff strategy that's already costing U.S. families over $1,300 a year. His obsession with tariffs is blinding him to real fixes that could actually help everyone. The pharmaceutical industry is a perfect example. Trump rails against the fact that Canadians pay a fraction of what Americans do for the same drugs. Yet, just like with trade, he chooses bluster and tariffs over solutions that would actually lower costs for U.S. consumers. Brutal. Just brutal. Trump claims the U.S. will no longer subsidize foreign health care and vows to crack down on big pharma profiteering. But his so-called solution? Massive tariffs that actually raise drug prices for American patients while leaving the real problem untouched. Now, let's look at what Canada is really doing to its own economy. Canada runs what trade experts bluntly call a Soviet-style supply management system, and that's not an exaggeration. It's a uniquely Canadian setup that no other developed country dares to copy, and for good reason. This system tightly controls dairy, eggs, and poultry through quotas. It blocks competition, stifles both international and even interprovincial trade. Yes, you heard that right. Canadian provinces can't even freely trade with each other, something unthinkable in the United States. Fred McMahon of the Fraser Institute calls it odious policy, favoring wealthy insiders, punishing the poorest families, and straining relations with allies. And the costs aren't just theoretical. One study estimates these internal barriers bleed Canada's economy of $200 billion every single year. Canada's supply management system illustrates the deeper problem. It's protectionism dressed up as farm policy. By controlling dairy, eggs, and poultry through quotas and tariffs, it raises food prices for Canadians and drains their economy by an estimated $200 billion annually. It's a textbook case of how protectionism backfires. And here's the kicker. Canada's system hurts Canadians more than Americans. Yet Trump uses it as a pretext for his tariffs. Instead of negotiating to dismantle this failed system, which would open Canada's market to U.S. farmers while lowering food prices north of the border, Trump keeps escalating. The pattern is the same everywhere. Rather than solving specific problems with precise solutions, Trump uses tariffs like a sledgehammer when what's needed is a scalpel. The result? Canada retaliates. $30 billion in tariffs on U.S. goods. Farmers lose market access. Businesses face higher costs. Consumers on both sides of the border pay more. It makes no sense. Canada is America's second largest agricultural export market, buying over $8 billion in farm goods every year, including $1 billion in U.S. dairy. That's with the current restrictions still in place. If Canada's supply management system were dismantled, U.S. farmers would sell even more. Canadian families would get cheaper food. Everyone wins, but Trump's zero-sum worldview blinds him to this. He treats trade as a battle where one side must lose for the other to win. In reality, both countries benefit from reducing barriers. That's how trade works. And let's be honest, America has its own protectionism too. The U.S. spends $30 billion a year on farm subsidies, restricts sugar imports, and imposes tariffs on steel, aluminum, and more. For Trump to rail against Canadian barriers while expanding America's is pure hypocrisy. The consequences are clear. Tariffs don't punish foreign countries. They're taxes on American consumers. Every trip to the store, every purchase of food, clothing, or furniture, families are paying Trump's tariff tax. And working families feel it most. There's a better way. Negotiate targeted solutions. Eliminate barriers on both sides. The digital services tax proved this strategy works. Canada's willingness to reconsider its agricultural system shows opportunity is on the table. But that requires real leadership. Leadership focused on solutions, not political theater. Right now, Trump seems more interested in looking tough than in achieving results. It might work as politics, but it's terrible economics.